Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about how Bitcoin has been trading just a couple of $100 right under huge, massive resistance at $28,545 over the course of not just the weekend, but over the last 2 weeks. And we're going to apply some basic principles of technical analysis having to do with support and resistance. And I'm going to be showing you why it is so incredibly likely that we are going to have a massive breakout above resistance and a rally of potentially over $5,000 coming this month of April. Today is April the 3rd, and we are going to be seeing a lot of bullishness coming into the space over just the next 9 days, because on April the 12th, 9 days from now, that'd be next Wednesday, we're going to be seeing the CPI, the Consumer Price Index data dropping from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, and when that occurs, we are very likely to see a huge run-up on the price action of Bitcoin, and the reason for that is very simple. Bitcoin has been following something called a CPI cycle over the course of this year. And if you watch Saturday's video, then you'll be familiar with what I'm talking about. In that video, I broke down how every month the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics releases data called the Consumer Price Index. And whenever they release the Consumer Price Index information, that tells us what the inflation of the US dollar is on a year-over-year basis, which is updated on a month-over-month basis. So every single month, you get the data released, and it's basically like you're looking at the monthly chart of the inflation of the United States dollar. Well, the inflation has been coming down at varying rates over the last 6 months or so, and over the last 3 months, whenever the inflation comes down, depending on how large of an inflation drop we've seen on CPI, you see a corresponding rally on Bitcoin proportional to the size of the CPI drop. The larger the CPI drop is, the bigger the rally is on Bitcoin. I suspect that we're probably going to see about a 0.2 to 0.3% CPI drop coming here April 12th. And when that occurs, if that occurs, but I do think it's more of a matter of when rather than if, you're likely going to see a massive breakout on Bitcoin above $28,545, and I believe we could rally all the way up to $32,935. We're going to talk about all of that and more in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. So if you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the post notification bell, and make sure you go back and watch that video that went up on Saturday. I think you will get a lot of valuable information out of it. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat. Really appreciate all of you guys for being here today. We've just gotten started. We've already got a couple of hundred people in chat. So let's go ahead and read what you guys are saying. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not already, hit that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 100 likes before we even jump into the coin market cap here in just a couple of minutes. All right, we've got Crypto Manny Bear was first in chat today. Said, good morning, Jebb. Do you think Matic is a better investment than ADA? You know, I don't like comparing the investment status of cryptocurrencies that are altcoins. Now, I do think that it is best to hold Bitcoin, and if you're not holding Bitcoin and you're only holding altcoins, I think that's a mistake. But I don't really like going into, well, this altcoin is better than that altcoin, and the reason for that is very simple. They're different cryptocurrencies. Polygon and Cardano do two very different things. So when you look at both of those different cryptocurrencies, they are not trying to achieve the exact same thing. Polygon is a layer 2, Cardano is a layer 1. There are multiple differences in the two different cryptocurrency projects. I personally think that they are both phenomenal projects, but it's not as simple as saying one's better than the other. As far as saying which one will rally more, that's a potential different question. I think Cardano has more upside potential than Matic, but I believe ADA also has more risk than Matic does, because I think it's also much more early in its value proposition It's trying to convince the market of its value stage. All right, we got Bullseye Bear in chat said, slowly, gradually, then suddenly. Don't get caught with your pants down when the music stops. Yes, make sure you are ready this bull market, and we'll talk about some ways you can be ready for this month and also for this bull market in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto. We've got Mike Lowry in chat, Dan Nolan, Public Tour, BTC Crypto Alerts, Alex Nybo, Win People, CBD Suddy. What's up, everybody? Sean Galt. Let's see. Colin McDonald's in chat. Rock and Metal News. Just giving some random shout-outs here. Let me shout out a few people I haven't shouted out before. VKT is in chat. Said, hey, guys. Robert Casanova, seen you plenty of times, but good to see you, my friend. Wisely T in chat said, YouTube will simply not post my copy-paste. What the heck? I don't know. That's strange. Silas E. Borg is in chat. Wisely T, Sean Galt, Teresa Lamberth. Welcome to stream, everybody. Reese, let's see. Weekend vid was a must-watch, people. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, go back and watch the last couple of videos. I talked about, in the Saturday video, we talked about the CPI cycle, so that was a technical analysis video, and then I also gave you some not investment advice, because I don't do that, but I gave you some life advice in a Sunday video where I talked about something that former United States 4-star general and United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower once said, and how you can apply that to crypto. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are all well. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the CoinMarketCap, and we can take a close look at what Bitcoin's doing here. Now, if you're looking at CoinMarketCap with me, something will jump out at you very, very quickly if you've been watching this show for a while, or if you've just been watching the markets and this is your first time here. That is that Bitcoin is still trading up here in the 28 and a quarter range. Bitcoin right now is sitting at $28,271.75. That's where it was last week. That's where it was over the weekend. That's where it was last week. That's where it was last weekend. And that's where it was the week before last. We've been sitting in this same range going on over 2 weeks now. You can see we've been sitting up here above 26,686 ever since we first broke up here on March 17th. If you just look here, that is over 2.5 weeks ago. That's 17 days ago. We've been sitting up here right next to the resistance for a very, very long time. And we're going to break down what that means today. Oh, man, I just want to show you the technicals. I want to jump right into it, but we got to pace ourselves because we got to start with CoinMarketCap so you guys know where we are. First and foremost, Bitcoin is at 28 and a quarter. That's something that you need to pay very close attention to. Over the last 90 days, which is basically over the course of this year, Bitcoin is up 69%, almost 70%. Over the last 90 days and year to date, Ethereum is up about 50%. So it hasn't rallied as much as Bitcoin. And keep that in mind. Whenever you're going into a new bull market, one of the things that is going to typically tell you that you're going into a new bull market is that Bitcoin is rallying faster. So oftentimes, if you're just seeing a total market rally and you're seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum and the Cardanos and Matics and Polygons and altcoins of the world rallying at the same speed, then oftentimes you're not seeing new money, new capital, new liquidity coming into the market, new volume. Instead, what you're seeing is just random volatility that could be occurring during accumulation. However, if you see Bitcoin outpacing the altcoins and you see Bitcoin gaining market dominance, which is something that we have witnessed, if you see Bitcoin starting to gain market dominance against the altcoins in a very dramatic way, which is something we have definitely seen over the last couple of months, with Bitcoin's market dominance in December falling down to about 38%. Now it's rallied all the way up to 46%, gained 8% market dominance in 3 months. When you see that happen, oftentimes what that entails is that there is new money coming into the space that is skeptical about the altcoins, but is in the space because of Bitcoin. What I mean is that a lot of times when you get retail or institutions coming into the space, whoever it is, coming into the cryptocurrency space, oftentimes they have never heard of an Ethereum. Now, I know it's called Ethereum, but a lot of people call it Ethereum. Or what's a Cardano? Or what's a Polygon? Well, people know how to pronounce Polygon because hopefully everybody's taken, 5th grade geometry. But the point is, people come into the space and they don't even know how to say the names of a lot of these altcoins, let alone what they are, what they do, or why they should buy them. Bitcoin has kind of a simple value proposition when you think about it. And this will all tie back into the point of today's stream, which is to share with you where Bitcoin is going in April and throughout this year. But when many people join the cryptocurrency space, they've heard the value proposition of Bitcoin, but maybe not the other cryptocurrencies. Why? Well, Bitcoin's very easy to explain. Hey, you know how the last 2 years we've been having really high inflation and a Slurpee used to cost $1 and now it costs $2.50? That's called the inflation of the US dollar. Bitcoin was designed that doesn't happen anymore if you use Bitcoin. Wow, everybody wants a $1 Slurpee pack or a quarter cent or whatever it is. They want a 95-cent latte. Where those days go, right? Where was the $1.90 gasoline that we saw in the 2000s? People miss that. They don't like inflation. People do not like inflation at all. Now, they also don't realize that inflation is one of the things that drives their housing prices and their property value to the upside. So if they really understood it, they realize inflation is not exactly what you think, but still, inflation is not a good thing, and building an economy on the back of inflation is not a stable system. It's very easy to explain that to somebody and tell them, hey, look, Bitcoin is the first unhackable decentralized network in the history of mankind, and because it is unhackable and because it is totally distributed and decentralized, you have no way of changing the hard code in it unless you get 90% of the miners to agree, which you can't get 90% of people to agree on anything other than the sky is blue sometimes, depending on what part of the country you're in. And because it is so secure, and because it is unhackable, and because you need a 51% attack that would require literally the entire concerted effort of either China, the United States, or the European Union to even have an attempt, to even make an attempt to hack Bitcoin, and they would probably still fail. Bitcoin is so secure, and it will not be inflated. And people hear that, and they think, wow, that's powerful. Then you get into the nuance of it, and you say, look, Bitcoin not only is unhackable, Bitcoin not only is uninflatable, at least outside of its own rails of the token issuance, it also represents the first time in human history that you have verifiable digital ownership of anything that is outside of a trusted third party. Before Bitcoin, you had to go through some database to prove that something that you own online is yours. And there was no way that there was no way to stop somebody from coming and taking a screenshot, on Command-Shift-4, taking a screenshot of your NFT or your Bitcoin wallet address or whatever it is and saying, this is mine now. There's digital verifiable ownership on Bitcoin. That did not exist before Bitcoin in any capacity online. It never happened. Scarcity. It's one word. It did not exist before Bitcoin came to be online. And you can explain that to people relatively easily. Ethereum's a little bit harder to explain to people. So when you explain what's Ethereum, well, you can build stuff on it. Well, wait a minute. Can't I do that in JavaScript? Can I do that in Python? Can't I do that in HTML5? Well, yeah, you can do that in those coding languages, but you can also do it on Ethereum. And they're like, okay, so it's just another coding language. No, it's decentralized. What's decentralization? Then you go down the whole rabbit trail trying to explain to people why Ethereum is valuable. My point is, when you enter into a bull market, oftentimes people are going to end up putting the bulk of their money straight into Bitcoin, and you see a run-up on Bitcoin. Why is all of this important? You might be thinking, Jebb, this is a bit of a tangent. No, the point I'm making is that when you see Bitcoin's market dominance rallying like this, it indicates, and this is my point, it indicates not that Bitcoin is just going through a rally. It indicates that there is new money coming into the space that doesn't understand the altcoins or understands the altcoins and doesn't trust them. That kind of money is skeptical money. That money entering into the space means that they are no longer as skeptical about Bitcoin, and they believe a bull market is coming. And for a bull market to form, you have to have people that believe it will happen, because the markets are driven by belief. Bitcoin's got to believe in itself, literally, and that's what causes a bull market. And so when you see a lot of people joining into the cryptocurrency space that are putting their money predominantly or only into Bitcoin, then you're likely talking about either Bitcoin maximalists that are not just in Bitcoin, but they're in 50 other things, so they don't want to try and figure out all the cryptos. They just want to put it in the thing that actually leads the market. Or you have people that are skeptical about the rest of the altcoins, and they may have enough attention span to try and understand them, but they don't want to because they only care about Bitcoin, but they're skeptical of the whole space, so they're only going to join the space when they think a bull market is forming. My point, again, is that with Bitcoin's market dominance rallying like this, it indicates that there is a resurgence of belief that a bull market is coming, and I think we understand that because you guys understand that. I keep making videos saying, look, Bitcoin's going to this price, it's going to this price, it's going to this price on these different time frames. And people just intuitively think, well, duh, the halving cycle, it's coming, right? Bitcoin's going to go back to all-time high in the next year or two. And so people understand that, but people outside the cryptocurrency space are starting to understand that. And that's really what I want to hone in on today, is not just Bitcoin's month of April, because we're going to talk about that, and I do think you're going to have I do think you're going to make fresh highs in April. But I also want to talk about the broader year that we're looking at over the next 8 months, and see where Bitcoin's going to move throughout the rest of this year, because I think it is going to be very, very, very exciting for everyone involved. All right, let's go ahead and start here on Bitcoin technical analysis. First things first, let's go down to the hourly chart and take a look at where Bitcoin is. As you guys know, Bitcoin has been sitting up here right below 28,545 for quite some time. It almost seems pointless to try and count the number of tests that we have on this level of resistance, but let's do it anyway because it is helpful to know just how many times the market has tested a certain resistance level. Again, 28,545, most important level in Bitcoin right now, bar none. There's nothing more important than it. Why? Because it is the gatekeeper here. I'll go to this chart. This chart will explain it a little bit better. It is the gatekeeper between where we are now and where we are going. It is the divider between the things that were, the things that are, and therefore the things that will be. I believe that Bitcoin will break above 28,545, but the question now becomes when. If you look at these different levels, these levels represent a multiplicity of things that Bitcoin has had to contend. Bitcoin had to break through $22,808, which was the resistance that we set here on the 13th of September 2022. Then we had to break through $25,236. That was the beginning of the transitionary zone. We did that March 17th of last month. The next level that Bitcoin has to face, and this is not its final boss, but it is kind of the little demi-boss or whatever you want to call it. Bitcoin has to face 28,545. That is the local level of support that we fell down to on June 22nd of 2021. From there, the next level comes in at $32,935, and it is the local level of support that we found on the 23rd of January 2022, which was the final support bounce that we went to. That was the lowest level that we went to where people were still thinking we were in a bull market. By the time we fell below this level at $32,935, people were then sure that we were in a bear market. People had confidence that we were in a bear market starting in May of last year, although we had been in a bear market ever since roughly December of last year. To break through 28,545 means that we are on pace, that we are on trajectory to rally up to and begin testing 32,935, which is absolutely vital if we want to enter into a bull market. We have to break through 32,935 to enter a bull market, obviously, but more specifically, breaking through 32,935 would be the confirmation that billions of dollars sitting on the sidelines would need to say Bitcoin has now entered into a bull market. I believe in many ways Bitcoin already has entered into a bull market, but the fact of the matter is you need to convince enough people to achieve a combustion reaction where you have one person come into the space and the amount that they move the market moves the market far enough that they bring in 1.2 people into the space. And then you multiply that, and before you know, you have 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million new people in the cryptocurrency space. They bring 10 billion, 20 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion, a quarter trillion dollars into the cryptocurrency space. And then you send Bitcoin back to all-time highs and beyond. Bitcoin has the value proposition to demand that kind of attention. The question becomes then, how will it achieve it? It is possible, but how will it happen? Well, let's look back down at the hourly chart now that we have some context about that question. I'm going to clean up this chart just a little bit. Some of these trend lines are no longer as valuable as they were, but I will show you. These are the three trend lines that I was saying Bitcoin is probably going to bounce somewhere in this zone. It did end up going down to the bottom when it bouncing. Just a quick little update there. Bitcoin was doing well in that front. Now, there is one thing that I want to show you here, and that is what I told you a second ago. Let's look at how many times we've tested this resistance at 28,545. Let's look at the times where we've actually broken it, by the way. Let's be a little bit more disciplined here, because it's tempting to count this as a test. I'm not even going to count this as a test, just for the sake of argument. We've tested this level once, twice, 3 times. Moving forward here, we've tested it a 4th time right here, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, an 8th, a 9th, and then just over the last few hours, we rallied up and attempted a test nearly a 10th time. If we count this test and this test right here, then that would be 11 tests of the local resistance at least, broken up into 2 clusters. The first tested attempt, the second tested attempt. Now, there are a few different theories from the background of technical analysis that you could look at this through. For any of you guys that have gone through Club DeFi's principles of technical analysis, then you will remember our videos up here on support and resistance. Support and resistance is very critical because it is the definition of how you find, it is not the definition, it's one of the foundational building blocks of technical analysis. You have to understand support and resistance to understand technical analysis. It's a little bit like saying that you understand construction, but you don't understand what a floor or a ceiling is. It doesn't make any sense. You don't just build in the vertical direction. You also build horizontally. You build floors, you build stairs, you build landings, you build roofs, you build foundations, whatever it is. You have to understand that component of construction to understand construction. It's the same thing with support and resistance. It is a very basic fundamental principle of technical analysis. And one of the things about support and resistance is that you have certain ways that you test them. When you come up and test a level of resistance over and over and over and over again, that then begins to beg the question, why are you up at that level over and over and over again? What has led the market to that position where it is able to test that resistance 10, 11, 12, 13 times? Well, oftentimes when you're testing a local level of resistance that many times, you are doing so because there is a lot of strength of the bulls and there's not a lot of strength of the bears. This is a bit like saying, that you have a city wall. I like to use war analogies. It helps with the bulls and the bears being in conflict. When you have city walls and the army that is invading manages to come up and test the walls once, but then they get just completely eviscerated that they get pushed back all the way back to their base camp. Then you might say those city walls, that city held on very, very well. There were archers on the towers. There were cannons on the walls. There was boiling oil over the gates, and the attackers were repelled. However, if the invading army is able to march right up here to the city wall and set up camp 20 yards from the wall, what does that tell you about the strength of the defenders? It tells you that the defenders are not even strong enough to get the invaders off of their front lawn. And so that tells you something about the disparity of power between the two of them. It tells you that the defenders are much weaker than the attackers. Think about it just very simply. If you're an invading army, the closer you're able to set up camp to the wall, the better. Because one, you're defended in a way because you can back yourselves up to the wall and you can't get ambushed from that direction. So you don't want to be setting up 10 miles from camp because then you can get attacked from 360 degrees. If you set up right next to the walls, then at least you know that there's a threat that direction and it's much harder to get ambushed because you've cut off half of the entry routes into your camp. Second of all, you also have your supply lines very close to the city wall and you're much more able to set up things like trebuchets. You're much more able to set up things like artillery. You're much more able to bring the wounded into tents so that you can take care of them. You don't have to march 10 miles every single time you want to attack the city. The closer you're able to set up to the city walls, the better. So that's desirable, but you can only set up as close as you're able to safely. So there's a dichotomy of an invading army that's trying to attack a walled city. You want to set up as close as you can, but you also have to set up far enough away that you're not going to get slaughtered in the night by all the archers and cannons on the walls. But if you're able to set up very close, that's desirable. That's what the bulls are doing right now. They are set up in spitting distance of the wall. They're sitting right there against it. And they're saying, we're going to go and knock down that door at some point, but we're just trying to get ready. We're just trying to prepare ourselves in such a way that when we do launch our attack, we are sure it wins. Because the bears right now are so weak that they are not able to repulse the attack in any real capacity. We have been besieging this level of 28,545 for weeks now, and sieges historically could go on for years. It typically doesn't work that way in Bitcoin. Normally, you're going to see a, if you will, a siege of a major level of resistance like this take weeks, maybe a month, but normally you're not just going to sit there and pound on the walls for a year. The one time I can remember that we did end up seeing that happen was when we were just sitting down here besieging, in this case it was the bears attacking, we were just seeing the bears besiege this level of $6,000, and eventually they broke through, guys. Eventually they won. If the attacking and invading army, therefore, is able to set up that close to the defender's walls, then it's very likely that the defender will end up losing. It's very likely that the invaders will end up getting the water supply and they'll end up conquering the city eventually. And that's kind of a sad way of using, that's kind of a sad analogy because obviously warfare is a horrible thing. But I think it is honestly one of the best analogies to use to understand what Bitcoin is doing here. It is besieging this level of 28,545. You can errantly look at the fact that Bitcoin has not broken 28,545 yet and use that as a point in favor of the bears. Well, look, the bears have been able to defend us thus far, but the bears are not able to win. For the bears to win, they have to cause Bitcoin to lose its momentum. Bitcoin has done no such thing. Bitcoin has retained its momentum. Bitcoin is continuing to set higher lows. It is continuing to test the resistance over and over again. Eventually, the battering ram will break through and the invading army will conquer the city, and we will see Bitcoin rallying up to $32,935. Maybe it's just that Bitcoin needs some reinforcements. I know just the guy. As you guys know, the Bureau of Labor Statistics over on bls.gov/CPI releases information every single month. This time it will be on the 12th of April. At 8:30 a.m. Right now, consumer price index is sitting at 6% year-over-year growth, down from 6.4% in February. It dropped 0.4%. I believe that it will go on to drop another 0.2 to 0.3% this coming release cycle. And if you watched last week's video, the weekend's video, then you can remember that we talked about the CPI. We talked about how the U.S. consumer price index chart over here has started to change its inclination. The market has changed dramatically its inclination. You look at the trend angle here, and you can see that we were basically trending to the upside at like a 50-degree uptrend right here on this chart. But then you look at this uptrend starting in about June, and this is really where the CPI, where the United States Central Bank balance sheet started to come down, and when you started to see inflation come down. When we have then now seen that CPI is uptaking at about 18 degrees of inclination, meaning that in general, you're probably not going to see the 7 to 10% inflation range that you saw with this degree of uptrend. You're probably going to see about a 3 to 4, maybe 4.5, which means that we we very likely actually have another percentage point and a half to go to the downside, down to around, I'd say, 4.8, down to maybe 4.2. From there, I think you'll probably bottom out, and I don't think you're going to see target 2% inflation again for the remaining multiple years as a result of huge geopolitical disruptions to the supply chain. I talked about that in plenty of streams. I'll mention it very briefly, but it's not the point. In essence, you have the complete disillusion of businesses the world over with something called just-in-time manufacturing, which is this idea of having parts arrive the moment you need them, not a moment later, not a moment early, because if they arrive a moment late, then obviously you got to shut down the whole manufacturing supply chain while you wait for a delivery of, bolts. If you have them arrive too early, then all of that time that you have the resource that you need, or the intermediary part that you need sitting there in a stockpile, that resource is sitting there consuming time and money. Time on this axis, money on this axis. However long it sits there is the amount of time that money sat there for, and however much is worth is the amount that it is valuable. So if you have $10,000 worth of bolts sitting somewhere for a year not being utilized, then you have $10,000 years of value that is being wasted. So the idea of just in time is that if you have a perfectly stable global manufacturing supply chain, then you have the parts arrive in the very moment that they're needed, not a minute early, because all of that ends up wasting your money, and that's efficiency that was sitting there in that stockpile that you could have rather been using to expand your business. Because of the destruction of Ukraine, unfortunately, and because of the destruction of consumer and industrial confidence the world over in the stability of globalization, just in time is kind of going out the window, and that's going to throw a lot of things into a tailspin, especially for Toyota, because Toyota is the one that kind of innovated that idea in the first place. The United States introduced it to them in the 50s, but they really took off with it, JIT, just-in-time manufacturing. And the rest of the world did too. Now the world's moving into this direction of just in case, which means tons of stockpiles, which means less efficiency, which means more redundancy, which means a lot more inflation. One, because you have to rebuild the manufacturing supply chain the world over, which is a multi-trillion-dollar process that takes multiple years. You think that's not going to make your Oreos cost more? You're wrong. It will. Believe me, because you have to hire new people in a new factory on a new continent and figure out new industrial and logistics networks to be able to get those new products to new markets. Because your old markets don't have the money to buy an Oreo anymore because they're offline globally. So the point is, you're seeing the global order move from just in time to just in case. And when you have to transition your entire industrial base from one, a continent to a different one, and two, from one model of hyper efficiency, then to much more interested in security and stability artificially created, not relying on stability that the United States Navy was guaranteeing by pursuing the world's patrolling the world's oceans and putting piracy to an end internationally. That not only, one, leads to a ton of problems back home because you have to rebuild the entire industrial plant, but two, it also leads to long-term inefficiency because now companies are building in a much more security-minded way rather than efficiency-minded way. And so that brings inflation. You're not going to see target 2% on the consumer price index again for multiple years as a result of the offlining of Russia, Ukraine, and China, all three of which are going offline industrially this decade, at least considering the way that we've seen them operate in years past. Last year was the last year that Ukraine was going to be a net exporter of food products, and they were one of the largest exporters of food products in the entire European continent. The other one was Russia, and Russia is under extreme sanctions right now. So with inflation likely not going below 4%, the CPI cycle probably won't continue on forever. Of course it can't because inflation would have to eventually go negative, which is definitely not going to happen anytime soon. But it does mean that we're probably going to see an inflation drop come April. When we do see inflation drop, That's likely going to send Bitcoin through a moonshot rally. Again, go watch that video that I uploaded on Saturday for more context here. But if you go back and watch that video, you'll see that I explain on this chart here exactly what CPI drops do to Bitcoin, and it's something that I've dubbed the CPI cycle. I'd love to see that show up in the lexicon here in cryptocurrency because I do think it's a very important concept. Whenever Bitcoin has a large rally, it is invariably this year resulting from a massive drop on the consumer price index. We have seen a 0.1% drop in February, rally the market nearly $4,000. I think you're going to see a 0.2% drop. Considering that third trend that we talked about in that video where Bitcoin is increasing in bullishness as it is now able to start rallying under its own steam, when we see April 12th come and we see that massive drop on, when we see that drop on CPI leading to a massive rally on Bitcoin, so long as we're still up here above 25,236 to be totally honest with you, I think you see Bitcoin rally $5,000 up here to $32,935 basically overnight. And so that's where the title of today's video comes from. Bitcoin is set to rally $5,000 in April. Why? As a result of the fact that the army of the bulls has been laying siege to 28,545 for weeks now. And whenever that occurs, the sieging army normally wins. If you study history, it's very rare that a siege that goes on for a year, for example, does not end up having the besiegers be the victors. Normally, that's what ends up happening in history. Now, if the army is not able to be repulsed in a timely manner. The other thing to keep in mind is that CPI data is coming up very soon. Bitcoin has managed to stay up here testing 28,545 for weeks. That data comes out in exactly 9 days. So what's the point? The point here is that Bitcoin is very likely to go into a big rally come next Wednesday, I believe it is. Let me just check. I believe next Wednesday is April the 12th. Let me see here. Yes, this coming Wednesday is April the 12th. Now, one of the reasons I also want to prepare you guys for what's going to happen in April is because obviously, as a family, we have some, there's going to be some changes coming to our family. As you guys know, my wife and I are pregnant, so we are very, very close to the due date. Her due date is April 20th, which is 17 days away. Our son came 9 days early, which if we had our baby the same time that Malachi came, which was 9 days before his due date, that would put our daughter being born on April 11th. April 12th is when the CPI data releases. So I will probably be missing a couple of streams, and for the first couple of weeks, the streams will probably look a lot different. Officially, my plan is to take 2 full weeks off of streaming. I'm going to try to stream during that time, but of course, I don't know exactly what that time is going to look like because I'm going to be a father of 2 at that point, and of course, I'm going to be making sure that my wife is safe because for any of you guys that know anything about giving birth, it is an extremely taxing process on a woman's body, and a woman needs time to recover, and that is a process that takes, for the very basic amount of recovery, about 2 weeks, and it really takes up to about 6 to 8 weeks for a woman to start feeling anything like herself again, and it's a very big safety concern if a woman's not taken good care of during that time. So that's going to be my main focus. So for the month of April, I'm probably going to be a little bit, how would you say, distracted by something that's very, very good, which is my family. So when I'm telling you guys what's going to happen in April, one, I want you guys to have something to go into the month of April with kind of an expectation, but I also want you to understand that I may be not able to be quite as consistent with content this month for a very good reason, and that is that there is a baby coming into the world. BetaBot said you and your wife are pregnant. Yes, we are due April 20th. Very exciting. Everybody's making 420 jokes in the comments. The due date could also be April 17th. So to be honest with you guys, it would not be surprising at all to us if our daughter came this week. So don't be surprised if we end up seeing, if you guys end up seeing me have to dip out at some point in a stream this week. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Let's continue on with our technical analysis here and look a little bit down on the shorter term time frames, look at some technical indicators, because of course that's one of the big things that you guys want to see is the technical analysis itself. One of the things to look out for on the 4-hourly chart is that Bitcoin has attempted a bounce here. We just saw kind of an inverse of a green, red, green, of a red, green, red. We saw a green, red, green, but it was kind of a bearish one. We saw 3 candlesticks, 2 of them were green. It almost looks like kind of like a Chinese S for any of you guys that remember in high school. We kind of saw a similar thing over here. Bitcoin had a long lower wick indicating the bulls were strong. Then it had a long upper wick indicating the bears were strong. So Bitcoin is locked in to this sideways momentum right now. And that sideways momentum isn't likely to stop anytime soon. To be honest with you, I think it's very likely that Bitcoin trades sideways right up until April the 12th and then has a massive breakout during that second week of April. I do think you're going to see a big breakout on Bitcoin, but I do think it is going to take some time to develop. Now, as far as the RSI, you can see RSI is sitting right here in that 50 range. What I will point out is that if you just come to your line graph, go on the 4-hourly chart, draw a vertical line, a horizontal line, through the 50 level. Notice how much of the RSI has been trading and sitting above 50 during the last 3 weeks. And then also just notice how much has been sitting up there in the last week. Vast majority of the time, RSI is sitting not up here at 90, but it's sitting at 55 or 60. It's showing you by that measure that the bulls are in charge. Same thing on the daily chart. On the daily chart, yeah, RSI is coming down a little bit. Yes, we saw a bearish MACD cross, but they're not very severe. These things are occurring because Bitcoin's trading sideways. So you see the MACD is not coming down extremely rapidly. RSI is not coming down extremely rapidly. They're very slowly correcting back to baseline, which is what happens when a market trades sideways. If you trade sideways for long enough, then the oscillators will trend back to zero. And that's what we're seeing happen right now. Why? Because whenever the market moves sideways, the oscillator should be at 50. Or the oscillator should be at zero. And that's kind of what we're seeing happen right now. Bitcoin over the last 14 days has been basically totally sideways. And so RSI is coming down ever so slightly as a result of that. And Bitcoin's been a little bit bullish. But remember, the way RSI is calculated is with 14 candle bodies based on the opens and the closes. You can learn more about that in Club DeFi as well. The point is, it makes sense that these oscillators are coming back down to baseline. That does not indicate bearishness, by the way. It indicates sideways. There's not a bearish component here on MACD and RSI. This is indicating that the market is returning to baseline, and that's why you have to have a fundamental understanding of the way that these oscillators work. They oscillate, and so they return to baseline when the market trades sideways. If Bitcoin traded perfectly sideways for 3 months, MACD would be exactly at 0 and RSI would be exactly at 50 because those are their midlines. Oscillators have to oscillate around something, right? My son, he likes to run circles in me. He's oscillating around me, right? He's oscillating around what? Me. I'm the one in the middle. That's what the 50 line is for the RSI. That's what the 0 line is for the MACD. If you move sideways, oscillators go back to 0. So that does not entail a lot of bearishness. That is not the same thing as this MACD cross over here where Bitcoin was breaking bearish. That's not the same thing as this bearish MACD cross over here where Bitcoin was going bearish, or this bullish MACD cross or this bullish MACD cross where Bitcoin moonshot. Instead, this is simply a reversion to the mean, would be the technical term in analysis for what we are witnessing right now, having to do with the 0 level on the MACD and the 50 level on the RSI. Now, looking back down at the 4-hourly chart, I do want to show you Lux Algo. Again, a few things have changed on Lux Algo as far as the way it looks, but it's still the same indicator and still a lovely indicator. You can still see here that we do have a strong buy signal, and I'm just going to keep calling them strong buy signals and sell signals, even though they changed the arrows. We have a strong buy signal here that's been in play on the 4-hourly chart this whole time. Bitcoin has come back down and tested the trend catcher here on the 4-hourly chart, Lux Algo multiple times, but it has not managed to really go below it, which is something that is definitely encouraging. And every time it's bounced off of it and gone right back up and tested a local high at 28,545, which is what we just did this morning. Now, Bitcoin is going through a correction. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin is in terrible shape, but what it does mean is that Bitcoin could drop down here to the trend catcher again, or it could drop down to this uptrending level of support, or heck, it could drop all the way down to 26,686, which is a local level of support we've tested multiple times, or Bitcoin could drop all the way down to 25,236. To be quite honest with you, I don't really care, because Bitcoin staying above 25,236 means to me that we're very likely going to see a break above 28,545, and we're very likely going to move up towards at least $30,000, which in and of itself is a major level of resistance, but also will probably end up moving to $32,935. So, what are we looking out for in the month of April? You're looking out for a massive rally, potentially as high as 32,935, and it could go higher, but that's kind of my middle of the road prediction. There's also a prediction where, look, Bitcoin could drop down to 25,236 and then bounce and rally with the April 12th news of maybe only 0.1% drop, and then we just rally back up to 28,545. We plateau up here, and then that's the end of it. I'll show you what that looks like on the chart. It's very possible that Bitcoin goes through a lot of correction here because the last CPI release was so far away. People are skeptical about April 12th. Drop down to 25,236. We only see 0.1% come out April 12th. So we rally only up to 28,545. Then we fall back down and we break to the downside. That's possible. That's probably the most bearish of the situations that we see happen. What I think is more likely is that you stay above 26,686. We have April 12th come in. We see 0.2 to 0.3%, and we rally up to at least $30,000, if not up to $32,935. And then, of course, there's also a much more bullish scenario, and that is that we stay up here above this uptrending level of support, kind of trade sideways here into April 12th. We see 0.3% come in as a drop, and we break up, test 30K, break through it, test 32,935, break through it, and then we're sitting at $36,000 by the end of the month. Those are a few different scenarios, and of course, they are vastly different, so which one's most likely? I think this middle scenario is, of course, the most likely because it counts on Bitcoin not going too bearish here over the next week or so, which would make sense because it hasn't done that yet. And it also counts on a decently sized CPI data drop, which I do think you will witness. And there's a few reasons for that, of course. Coming over to CPI, go to read more. Show table. You can see there's a lot of different things in here that are heavily inflated. One of them has to do with transportation services, airline fare, motor vehicle insurance, motor vehicle maintenance and repair, and motor vehicle insurance is definitely up. I'm sure many of you guys that own cars can tell me the same thing. Shelter, rent of primary residence, owner's equivalent rent of residence, etc. Many of these numbers are quite inflated, and a lot of them, the thing that was driving their inflation is getting under control now. Fuel oil is sitting up 9.2%. Electricity, natural gas. Many of these things were disrupted at the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian war, and they've started to come back into equilibrium at this point, and they may be still trading higher than they were 2 years ago, but a lot of them are trading right around where they were a year ago, which is what matters for the sake of CPI, which means I do think you'll see CPI come down by about 0.2% to 0.3%. That's my prediction. This coming month in April 12th, not this coming month, this month on April 12th, and when that happens, I think that middle scenario of a break above 28,545, testing 30K, back testing 28,545, maybe 29, and then breaking up to 32,935 is what's going to happen. And at that point, if that occurs, that is a catalytic event which will likely lead billions of dollars to flow into the cryptocurrency space because many people that were sitting on the sidelines saying, I want to see Bitcoin test 30K before I jump into the space, and they said that at 17, all of a sudden they got their wish and Bitcoin doubled. And so now they don't want to miss the next double because you double again, you're at all-time high. Double again and you're double all-time high, and that's probably the end of the bull market. So people want to get in and make that 300% gain of going from 30K to 150K, but do so, now's the time. And so I think you're getting close to that point where many people are willing to pull the trigger, many institutions are willing to pull the trigger, but they want to see a couple of things. They want to see some more regulatory stability, which hopefully they will. Many of them want to see Sam Bankman-Fried in jail, which, you know, he doesn't get to play League of Legends anymore, so that's probably what it feels like to him right now. He's to sit in his parents' house and do nothing all day. Poor guy. That was sarcasm. And they want to see Bitcoin back above $30,000, and I think they will end up seeing that happen. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat. As I said, really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. If you are enjoying today's stream, do me a couple of favors. Hit that like button. Let's see if we can get up to 400 likes before we wrap the stream out. Also, consider subscribing to the channel because we post content every single day here. We post a live stream here called Coffee and Crypto 5 days a week. Then we upload on Saturday a video where I analyze in a lot of depth and a lot of quality the technical landscape of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and give you concepts that you can walk away with, explain to your friends and say, this is why Bitcoin's moving the way that it is. And then I give you some life and trading advice, not investment advice. I'm not telling you where to buy and where to sell, but some wisdom that I've learned, and I impart that on you on Sunday. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and watch all the content. I really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Let's go ahead and read some chat. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. Queen's got it. Said, so what? Healthy correction. Yes, this is a so what correction. This is a so what correction. Let's see. Let's read some chat. I love reading chat. It's one of my favorite things to do here on the channel. The late adopter said, Jebb, my man, how's life? It's doing great, man. Feeling good. Very excited about life. Also very excited about the set. How do you guys like it? Some of you guys may not have seen Friday's stream. That was the first time that that the set was on air. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think it turned out well? I've been working on it for a long time, and I'm very, very excited and pumped that it is finally here. There we go. Let me just get my mic in position. That's a little better. Alrighty. Aussie Head 1985 said, good morning, Jebb. God bless. Thank you so much. Let's see. CPI cycle video was very informative, Tim Tate said. Thank you, Tim Tate. Really appreciate that. If you guys haven't seen that, I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. Jojo and Crypto Mini Bike are in chat. Crypto Mini Bike said, get to finish framing off my off-grid cabin starting later this afternoon and have a week off work to do so and a little bit of mini biking to do. Awesome, man. That is cool. That's awesome. That's amazing. All right. Let's see. Oh, I got a real good feeling. Absolutely. I got a real good feeling too, guys. I got a real good feeling that I'm about to lose out on some sleep, and I'm going to be so happy about it. Let's see. Sarah thought that was funny. Hit the likes for more informative information. Yes, hopefully our information is informative. Okay. Let's read chat here. Bitcoin is... Everyone's right until they're not. Yep. Colin McDonald said, only use money that you can afford to lose until bull market run confirmed, IMO. Yeah, I would still only use money you're willing to lose in a bull market because you never know what's going to happen. But definitely good advice to only use money that you're willing to lose. This explanation is legit. This is what keeps you unique. Keep it up, Jebb. Thank you, New Age Hustle and Hunt. I don't know if you meant the siege explanation. I'm not sure, but I really appreciate that. Not sure what you were talking about, but thank you very much. Let's see. Amazing analogy, Jebb. That's awesome. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you guys, really. I think you guys liked that. I don't know. We'll see. I need to make a fur coat out of bears. That's terrible. That's terrible. Hi, Crypto Jebb. Can you point out which April was a bad April for Bitcoin in any year since it was created? I could look. April, if I remember correctly, tends to be a pretty good April. Let's go from memory here. Let's see what I can do. April of... I'll go back as far as I remember Aprils. Aprils of 2018 was really bullish. Bitcoin rallied 25% in a day on April... 20% in a day on April 1st of 2018. It ended up rallying 300%. That rally started April 1st. All right, let's see. I'm sorry, that wasn't 2018. That was 2019. April 1st of 2018 was... Let's just test myself here. Let's see if I can do it. Bitcoin had just double topped, dropped down, and I think it was in a rally. We were in a bear market, but I think it was in a rally. Let's see. That was my first April 1st. I remember that. I made a video on why Tether was a great buy. Everybody thought that was funny. Aha! I was right. April 1st was the bottom. You can see here, April 1st was the bottom. Bitcoin went on a rally during the month of April. All right, let's continue testing myself. I promise I have the chart off. Let me think. Okay, April 19th, we already know that one. That one's obvious. 20% rally, April 1st, 2019. Bitcoin rally 300%. I'll show you that in a minute. April 1st of 2020. Yeah, Bitcoin would have been at a local high. It would have already gone through a bounce, and it would have traded sideways. And a couple months later, Bitcoin would go into a rally. Let's look at those two. This is fun. I like trivia. Let's see. April 1st, this is an easy one. April 1st, 2019. You saw the April Fool's rally. Everybody remembers the April Fool's rally on April 1st, April 2nd. Bitcoin went on a rally of 25%. Then it would go on to rally. Let's see if my memory serves. Go on to rally 237%. It was 300% in grand total. It started February 8th. Yeah, 320%. Then the next April. This is the one I was talking about here. April 1st. We were still in this movement, bouncing from the March bottom when the pandemic really took off. April 1st. Market, the month of April, 2020, Bitcoin rally 40%. Okay, so far so good. I'm not going to look at the chart. I'm trying to remember April 1st of 2021. Let's see. This is interesting. I've made videos every day for 5 years now, so I've made videos through all of this. So I'm just trying to dig into my memory here. April 1st of 2021, Bitcoin would have been sitting up at just before all-time high. We were probably sitting right around all-time high at that point in time. Let's see. We were. Look at that. Haha. We hit all-time... That's right, I knew that. We hit all-time high on it in April of 2021. Rallied at 4%, and the rest of April was pretty bearish, but we did hit all-time high at $65,000. All right, and then April 1st of 2022, and then we get to April of this year. I'm looking at the chart. I'm not looking at that point in the chart here. I'll click on a different screen. April 1st of 2022, we would have been... February, March. Yes, we would have been at the top of the corrective movement. The most recent April is actually the hardest for me to remember. We would have been at, probably because I haven't looked at it for 5 years like I had the other Aprils, some of the other Aprils. We were at the top of the, I think this was right before we went into that bear market crash that dropped us below 32,935. Let's see. Would have been right around here. Yes, haha. April 1st, 2022. Not a great April because the April ended with us dropping below 32,935. Yep. Okay, so that was a bearish April. 4 out of 5 were pretty bullish. Historically, the historicity is, and I think that's the point you're making, is that yes, in general, Aprils are very, very bullish times. Jammerhammer said that. And the reason that that's significant is because there are certain months that people will typically see rallies on Bitcoin. That's something to keep in mind. That's a monthly cycle in crypto. All right, there's a ton of chat here. Let's see if we can catch up on some. A lot of people making 420 jokes about the birth, about the due date. We just had our 5th last March 18th. Wow. Profit Bear. Good job, man. Or not good job. Congratulations. I suppose good job, but it's kind of weird. Congratulations. That's amazing. God bless you and your family, Jebb. Yes, thank you. My son was born on 4/20/2020. That's pretty cool. Jebb, live in the hospital this week. Yeah, probably. Do a few short videos between diapers. Oh. My due date was 4/1. My poor mom, lol. Matt Harvey said. That's funny. That's funny. Would be interesting if after all the scares that your daughter was going to be premature, she ends up coming late. Haha. That would be. I don't know if Sarah would find that funny because she's already measuring bigger than the average baby, and Sarah's like, no. The amount of times Sarah said, I'm going to walk this baby out because we're at term now. It's pretty funny. Let's see. We did just have a super chat. Ex-Fedman said, donation to the diaper fund. Wink. Thank you so much. For anybody who doesn't know, diapers cost like $200 a month if you are, not quite that much, but with wipes, probably like $200 a month for a newborn. It's a little nuts. Thank you so much. Hi, Jebb. My birthday is on April 9th. Hope it's a bullish day. I believe it will be a bullish day. Thank you, guys. People waking up sad about life today. Yeah, that's sad. Come on, guys. Life's good. Let's see. Congrats to you and your family, Jebb. Crispy Crypto Supreme said, thank you so much. Robert Casanova said, Jebb, you're off center 2 inches to your left. Fine, I will do it. There we go. Is that better? Tell me if that's better. By the way, I don't know if you guys know what this is, but that right there is the Blockchain Influencer Award for 2020, I think it was. I won Best Technical Analyst in the space, and I've never had that on camera, but I figured, I think it would look good up there. I want to get a light on it so that it looks a little bit better. I love this set so much. Gosh, for the first time in a long time, I'm really, really excited about a set that we have. So tell me what you guys think, and tell me if you like the Edison lights right there. Right there. And they're pretty far back there, too. I mean, look, they're like way back there. See? All right, going to read chat here for a couple of minutes more, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap it out. My birthday is May 18th, the date which Bitcoin dropped from the all-time high. There you go. There you go. May 18th. It was May 18th? I thought it was earlier than that. What? What all-time high do you mean? Bitcoin didn't hit there on May 18th. It hit there on April 14th. May 18th, Bitcoin was down here. Am I missing something? Or do you mean May 18th of a previous year? I don't know my years too well back before. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean with it being on May 18th. Maybe you mean right here. Do you mean in here? This is an all-time high. I don't know. Tell me which May 18th you mean, because I don't know of an all-time high that came on May 18th. Mario De Leon said, love the set. Thank you so much. What lights are those, sir? Looks pretty cool. They are Edison lights. Like I said, they're way back here. I'll pull one up here for you. I don't know if you can see it too well. They're pretty bright. Let me turn them down a little bit. See right here, they're Edison lights. Found them at Home Depot. Thought they looked pretty cool. They're on a dimmer switch too, so I can turn them up like that. And these back over here are some shelves that I mounted on the wood. Those are some metal brackets and the 1/4 inch or 3/8. I think it's 3/8 inch glass back there for the shelves on the wood. And I've got a warm fill light right there filling the stage up over there, bringing out the kind of the wood color on the wood. Let's see. Thank you guys so much for your support, guys. Stay away, May. Remen 09 said, please call my name. Shout out to you, my friend. All right, well, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to sign up for Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, because you are going to learn everything that you need to know about technical analysis over here. Everything from the very basics of support and resistance, confirmation, reversals, how to actually read the chart, what a candlestick is, all the basics, all the way through the much more complicated concepts that you're going to need so that you can get started working in the cryptocurrency space today. But to be successful in the cryptocurrency space, you first have to understand the cryptocurrency space. Go back to the analogy of warfare. If you're going to invade a city and you're going to make money by looting it, I don't recommend that. That is sin. That's horrible. I'm not saying that's a good thing. But if that's your plan, you need to have a detailed blueprint of the way that city operates. You need to have a detailed blueprint of everything that's behind those city walls. You need to know where the armory is. You need to know where the watchtowers are. You need to know where the brewery is. You need to know where, maybe you have a spy on the inside. You need to know where they are. You need to know where the gatehouse is. You need to know where the keep is. You need to know where the king is. You need to know where all of those things are. And you need a detailed roadmap of, one, how to get to the city, but two, the detailed roadmap of what's inside the city. You need to really understand it if you have any hope of being successful in your endeavor. It's the same thing in crypto. If you're going to be successful in the cryptocurrency landscape, you've got to have a detailed roadmap of what Bitcoin is, where Bitcoin's going, why Bitcoin exists. But most importantly, for you to be successful in crypto, you've got to understand how to listen to and communicate with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's trying to shout signals at you every single day. It's shouting, buy me now, sell me now, short me now. It's telling you to dollar cost average. It's telling you, it is yelling at you what to do. Your job is to know how to listen to those signals, because it's speaking in a different language than you're familiar with. Bitcoin doesn't tell you these signals in English. It doesn't tell you these signals in Spanish or in Mandarin or in German or in Italian or Polish or Russian or Portuguese. It tells you these signals in the language of technical analysis. So once you learn how to read technical analysis, you will understand what it's telling you to do. If you are a dog, let's say you're a dog. Track with me, kind of a weird analogy, but I think you'll understand what I'm going for. If you're a dog and somebody starts talking to you in English and giving you commands, sit, stay, roll over, and you speak English, or not speak English, but you understand English. I'm not saying the dog can talk back. You don't speak technical analysis. You listen to technical analysis. The dog's going to listen and they're going to understand. But if somebody starts walking up to the dog and starts saying, sit in Spanish, and the dog doesn't know Spanish, the dog's going to have no idea how to please its owner. It's going to have no idea how to be successful because it doesn't understand what's being told of it. Once the dog learns this word means do this, then it will be able to successfully please its master. If you, in cryptocurrency, are being told signals, buy, sell, accumulate, dollar cost average, invest, short, long, whatever it is, but you don't understand how to hear those signals, you don't understand what those signals are, you're not going to be successful. That's why technical analysis is so important, because it is the language that the market tells you what to do to be successful. So if you don't understand technical analysis, then you're like that dog that wants to please its owner. It wants to be successful, but wanting isn't good enough. You need to learn the language. So to be successful, great. Wanting to be successful is great. You have to want to learn how to be successful, though. And the way you learn how to be successful in trading and investing in cryptocurrency markets is by learning technical analysis. I don't believe there's any other better way. I don't believe you're going to have any better way of understanding what the market is telling you to do than by learning technical analysis. And I believe that we are the #1 place in the entire cryptocurrency industry to learn technical analysis on this channel and on Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. You guys voted it. That's where that award came from. 2 years ago, you guys voted us the best technical analysis on YouTube for crypto. And I want to teach you everything that we have to give you about technical analysis here in Club DeFi's Principles of Trading. Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. I apologize. Make sure to check it out with the link in the description box down below. I'll read chat here for just another couple of minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap it out. Relaxation Music Certified said, gonna watch the replay of this stream. God bless you and your fam. Thank you so much, Relaxation Music Certified. Hey, Jebb, you should bring back the neon Bitcoin. I do have it. I do have the neon Bitcoin sign. It's awesome that you guys think it's, you guys still remember that. Okay, guys. Well, I really appreciate all of you tuning in. I am going to have to go ahead and wrap out. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.